The world of the Lumeri had once been bright, warm, and full of gentle life. Their trees had shimmered with soft light at night. Their rivers had flowed with clear water that tasted like calm rain, and the winds had carried a sweet fragrance that comforted anyone who breathed it in. The Lumeri themselves were peaceful beings with soft bodies, delicate bones, and large eyes that changed color with emotion. They were not built for conflict or strange climates, and they depended on a balanced environment for survival. But all of that had faded over the past 6 years. The sky had turned a dull gray. The wind now carried a bitter smell, and the rivers were heavy with dark, metallic dust. Most plants had withered, and those that survived grew twisted and weak. The Lumeri had tried to fix their world with their own technology, but their machines were designed for farming, learning, and healing, not for fighting or restoring a poisoned planet. A rogue mining fleet had caused the destruction. The fleet had come without warning, stripped huge areas of land, melted soil layers, and released harmful chemicals to expose precious minerals. When the Lumeri protested, the miners ignored them. When they begged them to leave, the miners only laughed over the open comm channels and said they worked for no law and feared no authority. They left when they had taken everything they wanted, but the damage remained like a spreading sickness. Since then, the Lumeri Council had tried many times to get help. They had sent messages to nearby star nations, describing their dying planet and their struggle to survive. Some nations replied with polite apologies, saying the cost of helping was too high. Some replied with cold logic, saying a gentle species like the Lumeri should relocate instead of trying to save their world. Others did not reply at all. To most of the galaxy, the Lumeri were simply too fragile, too easily harmed, and too unimportant to rescue. Aurelie, a young envoy from the Lumeri, stood in the old beacon room of the council building. She was slim, with pale skin that had turned dull after years of breathing toxic air. Her eyes glowed faint blue, a color that showed tired hope. She stared at the large, cracked transmitter that had once connected her people to distant allies. It was the last long-range communication device that still worked. She ran her fingers over the smooth control surface and sighed softly. Behind her, an elderly council member said quietly that sending another message would only bring disappointment. Aurelie understood, but she believed they had no choice. Their population was shrinking, food was scarce, and the atmosphere grew worse each day. If they gave up, their world would become empty, and their species would disappear into memory. She lifted her gaze toward the transmitter again. She typed slowly, choosing simple words so any species could understand. The message was short. This is the Lumeri calling for help. Our planet is dying. We cannot survive much longer. If you hear this, we ask for aid. We have no more strength. The council member watched her with sad eyes. He knew the message would likely travel through the galaxy without a single response. But he did not stop her. There was nothing else they could do. Aurelie took a deep breath and tapped the final command. The transmitter made a faint trembling sound, like an old creature trying to speak after a long silence. Light flickered, then the message shot into space in multiple directions, reaching for anyone who might be listening. She expected the emptiness of space to swallow it forever. But far beyond the borders of known star nations, in a region that many maps did not include, a small human exploration vessel was drifting quietly. The ship was simple but strong, with reinforced layers and wide engines built for long travel. It carried only a small team of 4 humans who had left Earth to study distant stars and understand isolated worlds. Commander Alex Brooks sat in the control chair, checking the navigation display. His short brown hair was a bit messy, and he had lines of quiet determination on his face. Beside him, the pilot, Kevin Hartley, leaned back with a bored expression, tapping a slow rhythm on the console with his fingers. Engineer Lauren Price sat across the room, reading through energy reports, while medic Nora Bell cleaned a set of medical tools. The crew was calm, expecting a normal day. Then, a soft alarm beeped once. Kevin frowned and sat upright. "That was not one of our usual alerts," he said. Alex turned to the screen. A strange signal had appeared, faint but steady. It was an emergency beacon using a pattern he had not seen before. He tapped a few keys, and the ship translated the message. As the words appeared on the display, Lauren stopped working. Nora walked closer, sensing the change in the air. Alex read the message slowly, and his expression turned serious. The room grew silent as everyone absorbed the meaning. The Lumeri were asking for help. Their planet was dying. They had no strength left. Kevin let out a deep breath. "It sounds bad," he said softly. Nora nodded with a worried look. "If the air and water are poisoned, the people must be suffering. It must be painful for them." Lauren shook her head. "No one answered them for 6 years? That's wrong." Alex leaned back in his chair. He had seen many strange things in the galaxy, but something about this message felt different. He could hear exhaustion between the words, a quiet voice almost ready to give up. He imagined a population waiting for help that never came. He looked at his team. "We cannot ignore this." Lauren agreed instantly. Kevin, though concerned, nodded after a moment. Nora placed a hand over her chest and said that if they had the chance to save lives, they must try. That was what being human meant. Alex changed the ship's course. The engines hummed as they turned toward the distant star system of the Lumeri. The journey would take time, and the crew prepared for what they might face. They checked their suits, equipment, and medical supplies. Lauren modified air filters to handle unknown toxins. Kevin practiced emergency maneuvers. Nora packed medicine for many possible illnesses. As the ship moved through space, Aurelie stood by the balcony of the council building, staring at the gray sky. She did not know a human ship was on the way. She believed the message had joined the thousands of unanswered pleas scattered through the galaxy. On the 3rd day of travel, the human vessel approached the Lumeri star system. The crew saw something strange as soon as they arrived. The planet's outer layer of atmosphere glowed with a faint, sickly color, a sign of heavy pollution. From space, the land looked scarred and burnt in wide patterns. Lauren whispered quietly. "This is worse than I expected." Alex nodded. "We move carefully but quickly. They need help." They contacted the Lumeri surface, and Aurelie's voice answered. Her speech was calm, but carried deep exhaustion. She sounded surprised that anyone had replied. When Alex introduced himself and explained that they came to help, she fell silent for a long moment. Then she spoke with trembling words, thanking them softly. The humans prepared to land. Their ship descended through thick, rough winds that shook the hull. Kevin kept his hands steady on the controls. As they passed through the lower atmosphere, they saw damaged forests, broken hills, and rivers stained with dark metal. A strange smell entered the ship through exterior vents. Even though the filters blocked most of it, Alex looked at his team and reminded them to wear their strongest suits before stepping out. The suits were designed to handle dangerous worlds, and humans had bodies that could survive more than most species could. But even so, they had to be careful. When the ship landed on a flat area near the Lumeri capital, a small group of Lumeri stood waiting. Their bodies were thin, their faces pale, and their glowing eyes dim. They flinched slightly when the humans stepped out. Rumors about humanity had traveled far. Many species believed humans were dangerous Deathworlders, who thrived in harsh environments and survived storms that would kill others. But Aurelie stepped forward slowly. She looked up at Alex with hopeful eyes. She thanked him again, and her voice broke slightly as she did. She explained that they had almost lost all hope. Alex told her softly that they came because no one should suffer alone. He promised that his team would do whatever they could. Aurelie guided them through the capital. Buildings that were once beautiful were cracked. The air was heavy, and every Lumeri wore a breathing cloth soaked in herbal liquid just to stay conscious. Children held onto their parents, their eyes dull from lack of clean water. Nora felt a tightness in her chest as she watched them. Lauren studied the soil and air readings with a deep frown. Kevin looked around with quiet anger at what the mining fleet had done. Alex walked with steady steps, thinking of how to begin helping these people. Aurelie explained that the atmosphere was unstable and the water was unsafe to drink. Many Lumeri were sick, their crops had died. Every day, more people grew weak, and could not stand without help. Alex listened carefully. Then he told Aurelie something that surprised her. Humans were used to danger. Their homeworld was full of storms, quakes, fires, and fierce creatures. Humans had grown strong by surviving in harsh places. This world was dangerous, but not too dangerous for them. He promised her that they would try everything to save the planet. Aurelie looked at him for a long moment and then allowed herself to hope again. As the sun set behind polluted clouds, the humans began setting up their equipment, working quickly, while the Lumeri watched with cautious wonder. For the first time in years, the Lumeri did not feel alone. They did not know it yet, but humanity had already decided that this world was worth fighting for. The humans began work immediately. Alex divided his team into small groups to cover more ground. Lauren and Kevin went to inspect the rivers and water sources, while Nora and Alex visited the areas where the sickest Lumeri lived. Aurelie stayed close, guiding them through the streets and showing them where help was needed most. The Lumeri could not believe how fast the humans moved. They were strong, careful, and fearless. They did not hesitate to step into places that had become dangerous. Lauren knelt by a river that had turned gray and thick with metal dust. She held a small scanner over the water and watched the readings rise sharply. "This is bad," she said, shaking her head. "The water is full of toxins. If they drink it, they will get sicker fast." Kevin leaned over, frowning. "We need to find a way to filter it. Their plants are dying because of this too. The soil and water are connected." Lauren nodded. "I can build small filtration units. They won't fix everything at once, but they can give the people clean water to survive while we work on bigger changes." Alex and Nora visited a cluster of homes that were almost collapsed. Families crowded together in the smallest rooms they could find. Children lay on mats, coughing quietly. Nora knelt beside them, checking their breathing, their color, and their weak pulses. She sighed, but did not lose hope. "They are very weak," she told Alex softly. "But if we get clean water and air, they can recover." Alex nodded. He knew it would take time, but he had already decided that they would not leave until the Lumeri had a chance to live again. Aurelie watched the humans closely. She had heard stories about humanity's Deathworlders, but she had never seen them. Now, she realized the stories were true, but not in the way anyone feared. These humans were not monsters. They were warriors of life. They could survive in environments that would kill her people, and instead of using that strength for destruction, they were using it to help. As Lauren and Kevin worked along the riverbanks, they began to place small filtration devices in the water. They dug channels to guide the water through the filters. And soon, a portion of the river ran clear. Lumeri children ran to drink it, and for the first time in years, their eyes shone with life again. The adults whispered thanks, but they could barely speak. The humans did not stop to accept praise. They continued working, moving from river to stream, from soil to soil. At the same time, Alex and Nora went deeper into the city. They came to an old industrial area where heavy metals had poisoned the ground. Buildings were half collapsed, and the air was thick with smoke and dust. A small group of Lumeri had been living there, scavenging whatever they could find. They greeted the humans with fear, pulling back when Alex offered a hand, but he smiled gently and told them it was safe. Slowly, they came closer, and Nora began checking for illness. One young Lumeri boy, barely able to stand, looked at Nora and whispered, "Will you make it better?" Nora knelt to meet his eyes. "Yes," she said softly, "we will do everything we can." The boy blinked, his glowing eyes dim, but a spark of hope returned. Alex placed protective shields around the area, while Kevin and Lauren set up temporary water and air filters. By the end of the day, the first signs of life had returned. The children could breathe more easily, and the plants around the filtered water had started to turn slightly green. The humans did not stop at small fixes. Lauren began to design larger filtration systems, ones that could handle the rivers and streams all over the city. She showed the plans to Alex, who nodded in approval. "We need to move fast," he said. If the air and water are not stabilized, these people will not survive the next month. Kevin began organizing small teams of Lumeri to help move materials. At first, the Lumeri were hesitant. Their bodies were weak, and the work was dangerous. But Lauren encouraged them, showing how even small efforts could make a big difference. Slowly, they began to join in, inspired by the humans' energy and courage. One evening, as the sun set behind the gray clouds, Alex and Kevin stood on a hill overlooking the city. The wind carried the faint smell of metal and ash, but there was also a new scent in the air: clean water, fresh soil, and hope. Kevin shook his head. "I never thought I'd see a world like this, and know it could come back to life." Alex placed a hand on his shoulder. "It can, it will, but we have to keep pushing. The damage is deep, and there's more to come." Their concern was not unfounded. The rogue mining fleet had not finished. Small patrol ships had been seen near the system, likely monitoring the Lumeri from a distance. Aurelie warned Alex that if they returned in force, the humans and Lumeri would be in danger. Alex listened carefully. "We are not leaving," he said firmly. "We will protect this world. No one will destroy it while we are here." The next morning, Alex called a meeting with Aurelie and several council members. He explained how they would defend the planet while continuing the restoration work. He also trained the Lumeri in simple tactics, showing them how to move quickly, use terrain for cover, and work together. The Lumeri were hesitant at first. They had never fought before, but the humans did not use fear. They used logic, patience, and encouragement. By the end of the day, the council members understood that this was their chance to save their home, not just from the poisoned environment but from the threat that might return from the mining fleet. Lauren and Kevin focused on repairing the land. They planted hardy, human-designed seeds that could grow even in poor soil. They cleared toxic debris and set up energy shields to protect newly planted areas from harsh winds. Every day, the rivers ran clearer. The soil became healthier, and small plants began to grow. The Lumeri worked alongside them, learning quickly. For the first time in years, they felt useful, strong, and alive. Nora worked tirelessly in the medical tents. She treated sickness, taught basic hygiene techniques, and prepared natural medicines combined with human antibiotics. Slowly, the Lumeri began to recover. Children played again in small areas that had been cleared, their laughter ringing softly across the ruined city. Adults began to plan for rebuilding homes, inspired by the humans' presence. The humans also repaired the old power systems. Alex understood that to survive long-term, the Lumeri would need electricity, clean water, and energy shields to protect their fields and cities. He, Lauren, and Kevin worked to reactivate generators, connect them to solar panels, and build simple energy storage systems. These systems could survive storms and continue powering filtration units, air purifiers, and medical equipment. One afternoon, while inspecting the energy grids, Kevin discovered something alarming. Small mining drones had been observed near the planet's orbit, likely sent by the rogue fleet. They were harmless for now, but they could alert larger ships to the humans' presence. Kevin warned Alex immediately. Alex listened and nodded. "We will prepare. We will not panic. We will continue to protect the people and the land. The fleet will not destroy this world." Alex called the Lumeri Council together. Aurelie translated his words carefully. He told them that humans were strong and could survive dangerous environments, but he could not fight alone. The council needed to train volunteers to help in defense, move materials, and continue the work on restoration. The Lumeri Council agreed. They gathered willing members, and under human guidance, began basic drills, learning how to move safely, set simple defenses, and work as a team. As the days passed, the humans and Lumeri made slow but steady progress. Rivers ran clear for longer periods. Fields that had been brown and dead were now a pale green. The first flowers began to bloom. The people drank water without fear. Children laughed and ran freely. And in the evenings, when the sun dipped behind the gray clouds, Orally often stood near the humans and quietly said that she could feel hope returning to her people. One night, Alex and Kevin stood outside the human tent, looking at the stars. Kevin sighed. "I didn't think saving a world would feel like this. It's exhausting, scary, but somehow good." Alex nodded. "This is what we do. We do not leave people behind. We face danger, we fix what we can, and we keep going. That is what it means to be human." Kevin smiled faintly. "I hope the fleet doesn't come back soon." Alex shook his head. "If they do, we will be ready. The Lumeri are learning, and so are we. We can survive this." At the same time, in a hidden part of space, the rogue fleet's scouts detected the activity on the planet. The mining ships had not expected humans to be present. They were surprised that a small group could restore parts of a poisoned world so quickly, and that the local population was beginning to fight back. The fleet reported to their commanders, unaware that the humans' presence would change everything. Back on the planet, Lauren and Kevin worked together to set up a larger filtration system along a main river. It was noisy and complicated, but every step brought clean water to more people. Nora moved through nearby homes, giving medicine and teaching families how to stay healthy. Alex coordinated with the council, moving people and resources to areas most in need. The Lumeri watched the humans tirelessly, slowly learning that hope could be rebuilt even when the galaxy had abandoned them. The first battle was not yet fought, but the planet had already changed. Where there had been fear, there was now courage. Where there had been death, there was now life. And the humans, these strange Deathworlders who thrived in danger, had stepped forward to guide them. Aurelie often stood on the hill, watching them work. She remembered the message she had sent into the void, thinking no one would answer. Now, she knew that the galaxy's rejection did not matter. Sometimes, it only took a few brave hearts to change everything. Humanity had arrived, and the Lumeri would never forget the first time they saw humans move through danger without fear, working to save a dying world as if it were their own. Weeks passed, and the Lumeri world began to show signs of life again. Rivers that had been gray now ran clear in places, and small patches of green appeared across the barren land. Flowers bloomed weakly at first, then stronger, and the air smelled less harsh. The Lumeri themselves grew healthier. Children laughed while playing in clean water. Adults worked alongside humans to repair homes and plant fields, and the sick slowly recovered. It was a slow process, but for the first time in years, hope was alive. Alex and his team never stopped. Each day was long, each task demanding, but they pressed forward. Lauren and Kevin expanded the filtration systems and set up air purifiers in central areas. Nora tended to the sick, organized medical workshops, and instructed the Lumeri in basic hygiene practices that would prevent future illness. Alex oversaw the work, moving between groups, giving orders, and offering encouragement wherever it was needed. Despite their efforts, danger was never far. Scouts from the rogue mining fleet had returned to orbit, observing the humans and Lumeri carefully. They saw the repairs, the growth of life, and the training of Lumeri volunteers. The fleet's commanders considered whether to strike immediately or wait for a larger force. They underestimated the humans' determination. One morning, Alex received reports of small attacks on remote villages. Mining drones had landed, trying to strip resources and frighten the Lumeri. Without hesitation, Alex gathered his team and moved toward the affected area. Kevin piloted the human transport, moving carefully to avoid the drone's sensors. Lauren brought equipment to disable them safely. Nora carried medical supplies, ready for any injured. When they arrived, the drones were already causing panic. Lumeri villagers were running, trying to hide from the small but dangerous machines. Alex quickly organized the Lumeri volunteers into small groups, teaching them to stay calm, move quietly, and use the terrain to their advantage. The humans approached with quiet confidence, not afraid to face the drones directly. Kevin and Lauren worked together to disable the first drone. Kevin used a small EMP device while Lauren cut its power supply with precision tools. The drone fell with a soft metallic thud, The Lumeri watched in astonishment. They had never seen beings move with such speed and courage. Inspired, they helped guide villagers to safety and cleared the area. The battle was over quickly. But it was only the beginning. Alex knew that the fleet would return, stronger and more prepared. He gathered the council and explained that they needed to prepare defenses, train more volunteers, and create strategic plans. The Lumeri were nervous at first. Fighting went against their nature, but Alex reminded them that this was not war for conquest. It was protection for their homes, their families, and their future. Slowly, they began to understand. Over the next several days, the humans trained Lumeri volunteers in basic tactics. They showed them how to move silently, set traps, and defend themselves without unnecessary risk. They constructed protective barriers around vital areas, including water filtration units and medical stations. The Lumeri learned quickly, their natural intelligence helping them adapt to new strategies. While the humans trained and built defenses, they continued restoration work. Lauren and Kevin expanded the filtration systems across the main rivers. Nora taught medical practices to volunteers, increasing the number of helpers. Alex coordinated repairs to damaged structures, helping Lumeri architects rebuild homes stronger than before. The combined effort of humans and Lumeri began to change the face of the planet. One evening, as the sun dipped behind gray clouds, Aurelie walked with Alex. She had been observing the work for weeks and could see the progress clearly. "Your people, they are unlike anyone I have ever seen," she said softly. "You do not leave when things are dangerous. You face it. You fight for life." Alex smiled faintly. "That is what we do. We survive, and we help. Life is worth protecting, no matter how difficult it seems." Aurelie nodded, her glowing eyes brighter than usual. "Because of you, my people are learning to fight and survive. They are learning hope again." As night fell, scouts reported the fleet's main ships approaching. This time, it was not just small drones. A large force, armed and ready, had arrived to take what they wanted. Alex gathered his team and the council for a final meeting. "We will not run," he said firmly. "We will protect the planet. The Lumeri have learned. We have worked together. Now, we show them how strong they can be." When the fleet descended, they expected an easy strike. But the humans and Lumeri were ready. Volunteers hid in strategic positions, armed with traps and guided by human instructions. The filtration units and medical areas were protected by shields. Humans moved in precise coordination, using their knowledge of the environment to their advantage. The first clash was chaotic but controlled. Kevin piloted a small squad of humans and Lumeri volunteers, disabling drones and small ships. Lauren set up energy nets that temporarily trapped enemy craft. Alex led another group, moving swiftly to protect civilians. The Lumeri fought with courage they had never known, their fear replaced by determination. Aurelie watched from a safe distance, her heart pounding. She had seen humans face danger before. But now they were fighting not just for themselves, but for her people. Every movement was precise, calculated, and brave. The rogue fleet was shocked. They had expected panic and surrender. Instead, they faced resistance they had not imagined. As the battle continued, Alex saw an opportunity. He directed Kevin and Lauren to disable the fleet's main control ship, the one coordinating the drones. They worked quickly, dodging fire and using terrain for cover. Kevin piloted through the defenses, while Lauren placed charges and hacked the ship's systems. With a final push, the control ship fell silent, and the remaining drones became uncoordinated and weak. The fleet, realizing their advantage was gone, began to retreat. Alex and his team did not chase them, knowing that overextension could be dangerous. Instead, they focused on helping the Lumeri, tending to the wounded, and repairing the damage caused during the attack. When the battle ended, the Lumeri were exhausted but proud. They had seen humans fight and survive in ways they had only heard about in legends. They had also fought alongside them, discovering strength within themselves. Aurelie gathered the council and addressed the people. "The galaxy may have abandoned us," she said, But these humans have shown us courage, strength, and hope. We can survive. We can rebuild. We can live. The humans continued their work in the days that followed. They repaired homes, expanded filtration systems, and helped the Lumeri plant more fields. Slowly, life returned to the planet. Rivers flowed clean, plants grew strong, and animals that had survived began to repopulate the land. Children played freely, laughter echoing across cities that had been silent for years. Alex, Lauren, Kevin, and Nora had become more than visitors. They were part of the world now, guides and teachers, showing what could be achieved with determination and cooperation. The Lumeri learned quickly, becoming capable of protecting and sustaining their planet. One morning, Alex gathered the council and Aurelie. "The fleet may return someday," he said, "but your people are ready. You can defend yourselves. You have the knowledge, the strength, and the courage." Aurelie nodded, tears shining in her eyes. "You have given us more than life. You have given us hope. You have taught us that even when the galaxy rejects us, we can stand and survive." The humans had come as strangers, but they had become heroes in the eyes of the Lumeri. They had faced danger without fear, worked tirelessly to restore a dying planet, and trained a gentle people to survive in a harsh galaxy. Their presence had changed the world forever. As the first clean winds blew through the newly green fields, Aurelie looked at the humans and whispered to herself, "They are not the monsters the galaxy warned us about. They are the ones who step forward when everyone else turns away." The sun rose higher, casting golden light over rivers, fields, and cities that had begun to thrive again. Children ran along clean waterways, farmers tended fertile soil, and families rebuilt homes stronger than before. The humans stood among them, watching silently, ready to help if needed. But knowing the Lumeri were learning to stand on their own, Alex watched the scene, a small smile on his face. He knew their work was not finished, but the planet was safe for now. Humanity's Deathworlders had proven that courage, strength, and determination could change even a world abandoned by the galaxy. They had shown that life was worth fighting for, no matter the danger, no matter the odds. As the day ended, the humans prepared to leave. Aurelie and the council thanked them repeatedly. But Alex told them, "We do not need thanks. We only did what we could. Remember what you have learned. Protect your world. Help each other. That is the greatest reward." The human ship lifted off, engines humming softly. Below, the Lumeri watched, their eyes bright with hope. They had survived. They had learned strength. They had learned courage. And they knew that if the galaxy turned away, humans might still come, standing in the void to protect life where others would not. As the ship disappeared into the stars, Aurelie turned to the council. "We are not alone," she said softly. "The universe may reject us, but humanity has shown us that life is worth fighting for. We will never forget them." The planet's rivers shimmered, the fields glowed green, and the air smelled sweet once more. The Lumeri had survived because humans had stepped forward. They had given a dying world a chance, and in doing so, had taught the Lumeri the meaning of courage, hope, and life. The galaxy had rejected the Lumeri, but humanity had answered, and the world would never be the same again.